Hey everyone, welcome. That's I'm gonna keep that in there. Okay, so in an effort to kind of give a peek behind the scenes of how we do stuff, we've started on this journey of finding markets, how we find markets, and finding properties, how we find properties, and how we handle landlords and getting the leases signed. Now I think this video, which honestly could be broken up into like 100 hours worth of videos in itself, is what to do once you get a yes, all the way to like the listing is live and running. And there's a lot of nuanced details in here, and we're going to give you what we do. In fact, on my screen I have pulled up that I'll be referencing is our new unit onboarding checklist that we use. So it's what we use. And do we follow it perfectly every time? No, we were just joking about that. But it is a good fail safe. Like you need to make sure these things are done, and hopefully you guys can get some good useful nuggets out of that. So Alex, are you ready to rock?
I'm ready.
Ready to roll. All right.
So yes, I mean this is perfect timing because to record this and talk about this because truly you fact check us on the date, July 15th. We are literally getting our new unit set up, a new arbitrage unit set up right now. So we are this exact list that we're going to go through. Like you said, George, there's a lot of things. This could be broken up into several videos, a lot of videos, design, build out, operations, working with virtual assistants. There's so many pieces to this that we're going to go into, but this is right at the forefront of what we're doing right now. So we're starting a new unit this very moment. So.
Yeah, and I think knowing that it could be broken down into like little subsections or whatever, we'll just give a high level of like these are the things you should be looking at. And if you find yourself like, well, I need to learn more about this, or I need to do that, you can research that. There's tons of videos online, or if you want them all consolidated in a nice fashion, we have that in our Skool community as well, which I'll link to the video. But yeah, really, this should just give you an idea of what we're thinking at. And the first phase, we break up into phases, is the planning phase, where we conduct a plan for the new unit and we kind of lay the foundation to execute the setup. And as we go through that, Alex, I'm not going to belabor this and read everything from what we have, but a lot of this when it first starts is, yeah, I know, right? A lot of this is like simple things that we just learned time and time again. You need to get good room measurements early, and you need to get them accurate, and you need to know what kind of beds and like all these little things, right? Like shower curtains, silly things like that. But you need to get those measurements, right? I'll let you go. I'll insert Alex's like lessons learned, lessons earned.
Tornado in my head right now. So yeah, basically the big thing is like when you start your first unit, let's say you start your first arbitrage unit, things will go, not quite as you planned, or maybe you didn't plan. And that's kind of the whole point of this video. You need to plan ahead, use a checklist. If you don't have a checklist, join our Skool community. You'll be able to see this. But yeah, when we first got started and we didn't have any sort of checklist, and we are just like, okay, we know we need a mirror. Okay, great. We know we need a hair dryer. What kind? There's a million things, right? And so what that looked like for us when we started that very first arbitrage unit was a lot of trips to the store. It was a lot of standing behind a shopping cart, going around. Oh, okay, we need 4 pillows. All right, let's go get the 4 pillows. Okay, basically just time wasting, right? So there's a lot of time being wasted of instead of following an organized checklist that we didn't have. So every unit we have started since then, we've made improvements. That has always and will always be the goal. Every time you start a new unit, follow the checklist. Can it be improved? We're not going to sit here and say, oh, this is the perfect checklist. Nothing can be modified. There's always room to improve. And even like one thing that like we, for example, we used to always hire a painter if we needed painting done. Well, that costs money, that costs time, other people's schedules and calendars. All right. So, but now, guess what? I'm certainly not a professional painter, but I am a lot better than when we started our very first unit. So we're starting another unit in 2 weeks from now. We already have a plan that we're going to follow for how we get that unit set up faster than any of our other previous arbitrage units we've started. So yeah, we could go in a lot of different directions. But
So and plan that brings up a good part. So the final part of the planning phase, right? You get all the measurements, you have an idea of what you want to do with the space. Is like, what is the design of the space going to be? And this is where art meets science. There are things that you need to make the unit perform well, and then there are things you need to do to stand out. And I will say this: your one chance to get a lot of bookings is by having that hero photo jump off the page. So
Yep.
you need to think when you're designing this space: will these pictures draw people in from a marketing perspective to want to look at your property? And this needs to be its own video, but I will say this: when you're designing an Airbnb, do not fall into the trap of designing a house that you want to live in. This is not a house that you want to live in. The design is not the same design you'd have for your everyday day-to-day house. It is different. It's quirky. It's loud. Things pop. You have colors on the wall, and like it used to be, you just have a cool accent wall, and then that was enough to draw people. Now it needs to be. You need texture in the space. You need cool designs, funky designs, bright colors that really jump off the screen. So when you're coming up with the design, I would be look at what is performing best in your market, copy them, and make it better. So if that people like these really cool, contrasting colors and all that stuff, that's great. Do something like that, but make it a little bit better and make it stand out a little bit more. And then when you get a little bit more ballsy, you could start doing some crazy experiments, like designing a whole room around desserts.
Donuts.
I don't know who'd do that, or a jungle theme in the middle of DC. So all these things you can do.
Yeah.
Those are
So
designs that we're
yeah,
doing.
so design can absolutely be several videos, really deep diving that. But the big thing here, if you have, and you really should, have an opportunity to take a tour of whatever space you're looking at renting or partnering on, with the owner, whatever it is, you need to go in there with the mind, like physically go there with the mindset of, all right, what is my hero photo going to be? What are the best amenities? What are the best angles in these rooms? Maybe it's the bedroom. Maybe it's an amazing living room with exposed brick wall. Maybe it's an amazing outdoor living space with a patio and outdoor grill and stuff. So you really need, so with design, really before you begin buying things, slow down for half a second and think about what are going to be the best pictures, 5 to 7 pictures for the front of your listing, different spaces, best bedroom picture, best living room picture, best bathroom picture, outdoor, front yard, whatever it is, mountaintop, whatever the best 5 to 7 pictures are, go into your design planning with that in mind.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say, Alex, we've done that. Now we have the design planned. And now we enter the build phase. This is a lot of coordinations, a lot of logistics, a lot of, working with vendors, painters or contractors for physical things happening in the unit, but then also a lot of, purchase orders, Amazon, we use Minoan, ordering furniture from different places, going out to Facebook Marketplace, going to thrift shops, a lot of stuff happening here to make these things happen. And we have when we start a unit, we have our own Excel spreadsheet of like, hey, bedrooms, kitchens, living room, all this stuff that we order, and we know every time we order. That's what we use for us. Yes, we modify it for each unit, but you need to get something like that. And when you first start off, if you don't have one, if you join our Skool community and message us, we'll send you the one that we use. But you need some kind of list of everything that you're going to get, so you can track when you place the order, who it was placed with, the expected delivery date, and then you can just track as stuff comes in. And Alex, I'm not going to pretend like this is, what I spend my time doing. This is 100% your domain. So please, let's just go over some of the lessons learned and how we've iterated and improved and evolved over this path, doing this 20 plus times.
Sure. So the one that sticks out in my mind most is, because it was our very first unit, like I was saying a minute ago, standing behind a shopping cart, physically going store to store, buying everything without a list. Most, maybe a little written list in my phone, but mostly up in our heads. All right, we know we need this, we know we need that. Okay, oh, there's one, get it, whatever. That's wildly inefficient. There are some things that you could still, get in person, like Facebook Marketplace, maybe for a little bit better deal. Also, here's one pro tip. If your unit does require, if there's space and it's, appropriate in the design to have dressers, you don't always need, you typically do not need dressers because short-term rental guests are just living out of their suitcase for a few days. However, if it's appropriate in the design and you do have space for dressers and you want to do that, that's fine. What I would recommend is looking on Facebook Marketplace or looking in some stores for these larger items like that. Because if you order some of those things online, they're going to come with about 120, 150 pieces and parts, screws, adapters, little things, elbows.
Oh
It
yeah.
is, they are nightmares. They are absolute nightmares. So just know that for dressers and certain tables. But for the most part, efficiency wise, following your list, once your design is done, you can order all these things just like we're sitting at a computer right now. You can sit at a computer, whether it's 11 p.m. or 11 a.m., and build out your shopping cart through different vendors, one vendor, whatever it is that you want to do. You don't need to, for the most part, you don't need to shop in the stores anymore. If you're doing Airbnb arbitrage, this is a lot easier because you don't necessarily need to answer to anyone. You, your business partner, whatever it is, you can do this on your own. However, if you are doing like a co-hosting type thing where you're partnering with the owner,
A little more back and
that's where
forth.
they want to be more involved with the design because it's their money. They're the ones taking the majority of the income. So that's a little bit different process, a little bit more drawn out, back and forth on design. So yeah, other videos on that. But just for efficiency, even with that, things are still ordered online. It may just take a little longer with a co-hosting type deal. It may just take a little longer to pick out those items.
And and this isn't the video where we're going to tell you, what you need to have and buy, but I will say, like foot stomper here, like get your Schlag on code smart lock installed, and this is the time where you get this set up, get the Wi-Fi going in here as well, so you can start getting all that stuff integrated. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So this phase it ends with the initial cleaning. So it's important to say that while this is going on, this is your first unit, and you're like, okay, during the build phase, you are, reaching out to local cleaners, doing your, hiring the right person or interviewing people to hire, finding the right cleaner for you. Hopefully you found someone that works. If you're looking for, in the beginning, we used Turno, and we eventually moved on to other methods of hiring out cleaners, but we had Turno in the beginning, good for beginners. So you have Turno up, and then you schedule your initial cleaning. Okay, cool. So that cleaning is scheduled. It is probably a deep clean. Okay, great. The next, oh, what's up?
Yeah, just one very quick thing. So don't start up a unit. If let's say you're furnishing and staging yourself, do not start that up yourself thinking that, oh, set up everything and then I'll have my cleaner come in. You still need to have your cleaner come in when you're done prior to the professional pictures. But you also, if you like to save some money, and it's just like, in my opinion, truly necessary, you need to be cleaning while you're setting stuff up. Every single cardboard box that you open with a box cutter and break down the boxes, there's going to be the little dust particles, cardboard particles, going everywhere. So it's several, like you're doing a lot of work yourself or whoever you've got helping, during that build out. Yes, you absolutely still need a cleaner to come through prior to professional pictures. Once you have, let's say, once it is 100% staged, right? But even when it's 40% staged, you're putting up window blinds. Okay, guess what? Every hole you drill in the wall for like putting an anchor in, a mount a picture or something, guess what? There's drywall dust going straight down to the baseboard. And if you put a bed there or cabinet there or something and you don't clean it, well, now you just have dust in the air, right? So absolutely need to be cleaning while you're working, and that's part of, kind of part of the list as well is like you're not just going there with screwdrivers and Allen wrenches and box cutters. You're also bringing cleaning supplies while you're getting this unit set up. But yeah, get your cleaning scheduled, pictures immediately following, and then comes the that's some next phases we'll get into here.
Yeah, and that you started going into the video phase, which is not just pictures for, like, yeah, we'll just go into it. So when we say video phase, yeah, obviously we mean the photo shoot, which we want the photographer to come into, get a really good photo shoot, like, and you want a photographer, and this is like the colloquial I always use. Imagine a millennial taking pictures of their food and posting that on social media. You want something that's closer to that than traditional real estate photography. So you want to find someone who captures the vibe of the space. You are selling the experience, not the
Right.
property. So you
Right.
want to sell the, so think about that. We've gotten to the habit of now having it staged with people doing things. And those actors normally are Alex and his wife. So, but
Something as simple as, oh, do you have a fire pit? Guess what? Have a picture of cheersing a glass of wine, with the fire pit in the background. Like easy, like anything that the guests, any amenities that the guest will use. Don't do laundry, but any other amenities, like cool looking amenities that the guests will use, have that featured. It needs to be featured not only in a picture, but capturing the vibe and the experience of that amenity, whatever it is.
And for the video phase, I know I said I wasn't going to read off of our list, but this is one where I will at least look at it and tell you guys this, because this is very important, especially as soon as you get a virtual assistant to start helping out with messaging and stuff. So anytime you have other people messaging besides you, they haven't been to the property, so they don't really know. So this is how you overcome that. And also, this is just good for your reference in case you haven't been to the property and you're like, what are they asking about? So we do a unit access video where we record how to use the smart lock, the lockbox outside, what to do if you're locked out. That's a video. That helps the virtual assistant. It's also something you could send the guest if they're like, I'm stuck, what do I do? We also have a parking video if there's a nuanced parking situation outside. Cool. We have kitchen details video. That's like all the stuff, all the how to use the ovens and the stuff, all the stuff. If you have some kind of fancy, wild kitchen, you put that in there. And then like the how to use videos, washer, dryer, TV, all the cool like unique amenities. If you have a cool Pac-Man game machine and you have to like slap it 2 times and give it a little tickle to make it work. Okay, cool. You put in how to do that. And that's like all that. And then staging photos, and you create staging photos. So you capture the unit in its perfect state, how you want everything staged, take pictures, and then you have those as photos for the cleaners. So now the cleaners know how the unit's supposed to look. And that's when you build out your cleaning checklist. Everything you want the cleaners to do in the property. Think from ceiling to floor, everything you want them to do every time. You have that in the staging photos. That's happening during this stage. And then obviously on top of that, you're doing the photo shoot. So that's like, a lot is happening in this phase. But I mean, Alex, I think, we can feel it because we have virtual assistants that work with us. It is a must. And it's just a good habit to have all that stuff anyway. And you can fire off those videos to guests if they, have questions or issues.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to add is even if this is your very first unit and you're doing everything yourself, you do not have a virtual assistant, get in the habit of doing these videos because that's also going to help shape your mind of like, yep, one day when I have several units, whatever it is, and I do need help, I am ready to hire a virtual assistant. You're going to need these videos. So make the videos now for one, you have them for later anyway, but also just it's a great habit to get into because I bet it teaches you something about the properties that maybe you didn't immediately know, and that which will be more helpful for your guests anyway. If you can even more thoroughly or clearly answer any questions they have. We had a guest just on like the access video, not kidding, last night at like 12:20 in the morning, 12:18 in the morning, just last night. We had a guest checking into a property, and of course, like, it was a smart lock question. Hey, it's not working. Which apartment is it? She clearly didn't read the messages. Hey, it's a packed apartment, number. She didn't read it. Oh, my code's not working. I've tried all the, apartments. Well, that's probably terrifying for the people that are in those other apartments that are like, what the fuck is going on? So, but anyway, so she messaged us, okay, responded immediately. Hey, it's this apartment number. Here's your code. Which it was complete. And then, oh, no, it's still not working. It was a user error. I knew it was. We still need to give them the information. Yep, this is how it is. Okay, this is the code, whatever. This is how you do it. User error. But so even when you do these things, even when you have directions, automated messages, this will happen, right? And that's a separate video, but just like
you know what it is, but it's like the second people go onto an Airbnb, they like flip on the orb of confusion from SpongeBob. Do you remember that? Yeah, immediately they're like, duh. And I don't know what it is. Like, I'm on vacation. I don't need to worry. I don't need to think about these things. But it's like, hey, yeah, I just don't know what it is. It's just so dark in here, and I just wish it could be brighter. Have you turned the lights on? The what? The light switch.
There are lamps on the nightstand. Like,
yeah, they just forget. They literally just forget. Like, help! I've fallen down and I can't get up. Yeah. So okay, we do that. The next phase is the final phase, which is create the listing phase. This involves a lot of stuff. You're getting back the photography, you're going through it, you're picking the best pictures. Okay, and if this is your first listing ever, you're probably just creating a listing on Airbnb. When you get fancier, you have your property management software, you're doing a lot of integrations. But even with your first listing, when you create the listing, you're still probably going to integrate it with a smart lock software, and maybe even a pricing revenue management software. So, Alex, we could deep dive all that stuff again, but luckily I just remembered I made a whole video a long one, an hour on creating your listing with Airbnb. So I'm not going to go through and beat that horse again. That one like is a walkthrough where I pull up Airbnb and create the listing from start to finish. So I'm just going to link that one,
Yeah.
and that'll be that. So before we wrap it up, what are other things from a setup perspective that you're think that we need to do before we go live? After, let's say, we've created the listing, we've integrated everything. Okay, cool.
What I would do as a kind of a catch-all, fail-safe, once you have everything staged, everything is clean, you've got pictures. Let's say your listing's done, right? Let's just say that's done as well. Prior to accepting that first guest, and maybe it's the same day that you do pictures, when everything is like done, right? Imagine you are the guest. Go stand outside. Stand outside the building. Imagine you are the first guest and hold out your phone and you just received all of your directions. Okay, now go through. You could even stay there at night, if you can and want to. Certainly not a bad idea. Or have a friend, stay. That's also a good idea. And that could even be a first booking. You have a friend or family member stay there where, basically to test everything out. Like, does the shower, how quickly does it heat up? Are there any other quirks to the building or to the apartment or whatever that maybe you didn't quite realize when you were setting it up? Like, anyone can assemble a bed frame. One thing that we do, we like to put like a little 2x4 piece of lumber or 4x4 piece of wood behind the legs, so the bed doesn't like slam against the wall eventually, right? Or the baseboard. If there's a gap between the baseboard and like the drywall, and the legs of the bed are hitting the baseboard, eventually, just with bed usage, screws will get loose. So that's a whole separate, kind of maintenance deal video series. But anyway, put yourself in the mind of the guest, run through their whole stay, and make sure you've thought of everything. So especially for your first unit, every guest is going to be important. No, I mean, even when you have, several units, properties, put yourself in the mind of the guest, make sure they have a smooth and positive experience. So, you can get good reviews, everything goes well, the guests are happy. It's not only making money, you truly, when you're in this business, you truly want to give people a good place to stay and an enjoyable experience. People are taking their 2 weeks a year and they're spending their hard-earned money at your property. Give them a good experience. So get ahead of things and walk through the property, sleep there, see it, check everything, right? You just set it up, give it a full check. So
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And you said like, and you just start off, and we didn't start off perfect, and we started making a ton of mistakes. So like, just take some of these things, create your own process, and then just see what didn't work and what worked, and do more of what worked, and improve what didn't work. And then by the time you get to your fifth, sixth, seventh listing, it's going to be so much smoother. I mean, it's a matter of taking weeks to taking days. So I will say now on the screen, you'll have two options. Over here, somewhere this way, you'll have a how to start a listing completely from scratch, like never done touched Airbnb before. Okay, cool. And then over here, you'll have how to completely optimize a listing from start to finish, every single setting. So now it's a choice. Which one do you want? Or you can watch this one and it'll lead you to that one. So really up to you at the end of the day. That's going to be it, Alex. Take it easy.
Yep.
All right. See ya.